Chilly here with Sirius Taurus Moon. This is Sol Hour, Jupiter Day. Sun is 25 degrees Capricorn in the 11th house. And the ascendant is close to full out. Midheaven is with the moon, 15 degrees Sag. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. Mercury is ingressed to the 21 degree, applying to square Chiron. I stopped my previous recording at basically where extortion calls run into diplomatic community. So the raison d'etat behind human trafficking is extortion calls. Nobody's actually marketing sex to anyone. It's not a profitable business. The more a person connects with their orgasm, the more they connect. If I wanted to sell sexuality-based stuff, um, and and actually, as a person that worked for Jade Egg courses and kind of to profit off of positive view of sexuality rather than Me Too and trafficking extortion cults, then I, to do that, I would be basically talking about tips for self pleasure, the erotic and non erotic self. Um, a video such as I made today morning is a good example. The introduction for what would profiting off of sexuality would look like in a sex positive, which is the unusualness of the life energy and the way it can just suddenly be completely non-erotic. I would probably sell ethically sourced and mined loved ones or jade eggs. Yes, a lot of the essential oils are anyway contributing to that because the amygdala is also the center of satisfaction, and where we have the amygdala and the limbic system connect directly to our sense of pain and pleasure. So anything scent based would be basically as a side effect of that, but it's basically creating a movement in the life energy. It's not meant to be erotic, but it can many times be a side effect of people inhaling essential oil blends. Um, and then I would go about what do you do as a healthy person? So I would ask, okay, what is your passion in life? How do you innovate? How do you incarnate the passion, or whether it's a business or whether it's a family? And then the side business would go along that. So let's say somebody has a passion to create free of extortion cults media. Can be an alternative to the Epstein conglomerate. I don't mean Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, but the Epstein family and lineage conglomerate of media. Um, so, wow, shit, fuck, amazing. That would mean journalists. That would mean production team. That would mean, um, yeah, that would mean defending that media, defending that enterprise. That would mean ethical mining of the rare earth minerals. Okay, because the technology of media is based on them. That would mean lines of production of technology that are ethically sourced, shit tons of stuff that I could, and that would mean equity in the media company. So I have way more. Um, how should I say that? I have way more scalability in terms of fulfillment and a success and wealth that actually welts. Um, Doing that, then running an extortion cult, which basically is why the people who do run extortion cults are so severely tortured. And when we talk about um, extortion cults, okay, we talk about an enterprise that continuously undermines itself, and the onset, before they breed or clone an infant, they already set for that infant to be of a particular bloodline that they believe would do particular role in society, and they already have the onset of under what world events and when would they suddenly expose and remove diplomatic immunity from the people that participated in extortion cults? That's the reason they run extortion cults. Like I said, nobody in extortion cults care about your orgasm. Okay, they don't apply to people. They don't get people addicted to sex because they want to provide them with a service that is of value to them. In fact, they get people devalue themselves and sex altogether so that they are addicted to dopamine and to violence and later extorted further on to do things for the extortion cult. Um, okay, there's no value in basically sex. They're not providing for any actual value. They do bait people that already come from trauma background under the guise that they are going to get their needs met adaptively, while in fact they would have to use whatever needs they get met to set boundaries to the extortion cult. Because okay, and here is the thing: why the extortion cult or cult logic, they have to bait by, okay, they have to bait by making someone feel desirable, making someone feel belonging, okay, they have to bait by that. But a love that is actually loving is a boundary, and then they have to provide the fragments and approximations of a love that is actually loving, which basically causes them to need to maintain a trauma bond, whereas a love that is actually loving wouldn't be doing that. And then the more that they have to provide, the more basically the people wake up to the fact that, wait a second, that's not a way to treat the person under any circumstances. That is, and then people have more names for it: gaslighting, PTSD, sexual boundary violation, trauma bond, narcissistic abuse, borderline, relational trauma. Okay, they can't really keep the threshold um, without people awakening to the fact that that's not, that the wealth in extortion cult is not wealthy. There are many drugs that can give a lot of high, but it's not a safe and secure relation, which curates addiction. Ken, now people don't often have a name for it, but as they try to do their own shadow work and all the things that the extortion code basically has to bait people with, then they do cross the threshold and say, hey, wait a second, I'm doing my shadow work. Why am I not in an environment that is actually loving, respectful? In a working environment, in a housing situation environment, in a political environment, in a societal environment. People are asking those questions. And the extortion code is no longer able to provide. What happened after the Me Too? The JDEC boom. Okay? Women talking to their vagina. That's why the Me Too actually turned something that, to dim it, how should I say that? When people sovereign up, they're turning into a position where they're no longer indoctrinated. And the stuff that, and this is also where they actually had to revert to power. Okay, why are they shooting in Iran directly at people, not only people who go to demonstration, but also people at the mall? Okay, they basically reverted to the economy was not economy. Okay, there was nothing left, so people just went there knowing that they would be shot to death, but saying enough is enough. For those who say, yeah, that was the extortion cult's ritual abuse troops, fine, I'm with you. They went through ritual abuse and then they were like, well, getting shot in the heart is an euthanasia. Okay, so it's probably a bit of a combination of both everywhere. And all the nice guises of um, trafficking as sex work falls flat at sovereign sexuality. And then all they have left is bullying, reverting to violence, reverting to all the things that already expose them as criminals against humanity, which removes diplomatic immunity. That was the onset. That was the end goal. That's the raison d'etat of extortion cult. To make people think that they only have drugs, never love, and only a facade. And then to expose what they do, and what they do is on a level of crimes against humanity that negates diplomatic immunity. That was the onset, that was the raison d'etat. And once a century, or when all the centaurians die, basically this is where the cards are presented, and they had prepared for this moment to unravel and basically take the immunity of the people that got diplomatic immunity only if they continue to rape children to cameras while being drugged up. Is it like that in every single culture that has any kind of red light district or OnlyFans or anything related to sex work, even when legalized? Of course! Why do they expose people like Diddler, Epstein, and Detru? Because they are a part of the people that run the extortion cult. Does that negate things? Not really. Can I jab at Mark Dutroux' active memory? The victims have already presented a list. If you want to see it, there are people with the press tag on that publish that. It's on YouTube Shorts. I said what I said. People wondering if they're in it, they're going to have to look at the YouTube Shorts. The list of the Dutroux case, as per the testimonies of the victims, Kind of like the Epstein list, okay? It's out there now. Of course, with the mind control and the fact that that a lot of them are personality cults, it does get more tricky than that. But the point is so that the diplomatic immunity will be removed, because there's only so much political assassinations that they can do without us people noticing that, hey, they assassinated those who spoke against the WHO. So eventually, and this is why the only point of interference before the guillotine o'clock, that is by the cult of the cult, under the guise of we the people. Okay, we the people did not just get the guillotine from somebody had to donate that guillotine, which was a new weapon development at the time. New weapon developments were made only by the Masons, which guillotined the Masons. The highest degrees of the Masons is the monarchies. That's the, if there are 33s, that would be the 35s or something. Now, the only point of interference is basically to speak as a ritual abuse survivor that escapes the cult. Now, Marc Dutroux tried to do something of that sort to become kind of a state witness. Then they sent Michel Nihoul. Now, the only to execute the execution of what they have, the oaths that they shouldn't speak and so on and so forth. To execute that, they need executionists. So that would have to be people in union understanding that they're all going to be exposed and have their diplomatic immunity removed. That was the meaning, that the part in the French Revolution where everybody was accused of being a child molester. That's that. So was the church. It's true, it's already happening. Opus Dei, the Vatican, the Mormons, the Jesuits, all being litigated for human trafficking and child trafficking. Okay, why did Meloni come up with the notion of people that want to return or to not be in jail when they were pedos, actively attacking children, or rapists, to be chemically castrated, not permanently? Now, of course that can have irreversible side effects, but so can execution. Because this is basically a solution to the situation that I'm talking about. Without child rapists, there will be no sex trafficking, which means there would be 0 red light districts around the world. It's not about morality. It's about identity, sovereignty, and alignment of energy that allows for wealth that is not based on addiction. because the foundations of entire global society are collapsing. I'm recording. I'm recording. People have a hard time hearing that because it's the politicians that they watch when they just need to watch something to relax and dissociate. I jab them. They started. It's the celebrities they had a crush on. Anybody remembers? It was on X, I think. Sleeps with expandable children, doesn't sleep with expandable children. um, anyway, it was their colleagues, it was the people that they listened to how to be successful entrepreneur, my 10 points. It's our motivational videos for fitness. It's the spiritual teachings we go to. It's everything. It's the people who decide after they have looted the bank to pay for the extortion call that made them believe they can get away with sleeping with a 13-year-old child that didn't look older but younger, that decide if you're eligible in your credit score to keep your house and get a mortgage, or you need to assassinate you, the spouse, and the 8 children. Because of your bad choices, of course. So they wouldn't end in human at the banker.